Hi guys, my name's Alyssa and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm shooting outside and I've literally never done that on my channel before. I have some things that I wanted to tell you and I feel like they're important, and so I'm going to say them and we're gonna go from there. So I quit my YouTube channel back in May and I didn't know where I was going from there. I just knew that it had to end. And I want to tell you about that. I want to tell you why I quit. Because when I started my YouTube channel, I had one thought and one thought only, and that is that I wanted to be an actress. You know, I always had that in my head that I could create a character that would be a really great actress and that people would see my movies and I would entertain them. And that was the only thing I ever wanted to be when I grew up. And so I got on YouTube to chase my dream, you know, to try something out. And I went and I did it. And the only thing I knew to talk about, well, I knew a lot of things to talk about, but the big thing I knew to talk about was like astrology. So I made hate videos about astrology. People reacted to them and I got some hate back, obviously, and I got some love back. And I all of a sudden realized that I was a part of a community. And not only was I creating from deep inside of me, I was influencing as well. I became an influencer. So in my mind, I felt like it would be great to keep influencing. Like, this is a great thing. I'm influencing, and because I'm influencing, I'm being accepted. And then I didn't realize, but over like 5 years, it was less of me influencing and being out here creating out of love and out of my heart, and more about the collective that was following me, influencing me and telling me who I needed to be and what videos I should do and when and why and how and what and whatever, all those things, telling me how I should be doing my channel and my videos. And I started doing my videos out of fear that if I stopped, I would lose my influence, that I would lose everything that I created, that I would lose people knowing my name. And that on its own became way more important to me than my own heart. So much so that I started to build a business from it and neglected my own health. And when I was pregnant with my second child, I actually had a mini stroke. And instead of realizing that I was doing way too much and pretending that I was not doing enough, I should have stopped everything right then, but I didn't. I kept going and I never had time for myself. And I became not a person. I became everybody else. I became influenced by everybody else's needs and wants from me. And I no longer was creating out of my heart, but I was creating out of fear that if I stopped, I would lose everything. And it took me until May to realize, well, I started realizing back in probably a year ago that I had to stop, but I didn't want to. Like, it was really hard, and because I love astrology, I do. It's my favorite thing. Besides my family, I love astrology, and I love coffee too. And none of these things define me. They're just things that I love. They're parts of me that I like to give to everybody, but they're not my defining characteristics, because I was so worried that if I didn't have people liking me, that I might not be worthy of anything. I might not be worthy of love or any attention or affection. I just would not be worthy. I would be nothing. And I figured out that it didn't matter if I was nothing. I needed to find myself, and I needed to love myself, not because of what I could give, but because of who I was. Not because of what people saw in me, but because of the contents of my heart. And my heart was just broken and empty and discarded. And it didn't matter how much energy I gave to everybody, people still wanted more from me. And they would call me things like rude. Like, if I didn't put out a video on time, I was called rude. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I would get so mad because it hurt so bad, because all I did was give to other people. And if I didn't give enough, all of a sudden someone was gonna make a bad video about me or threaten me or talk bad about me because I stopped giving them every part of me to save a little bit for myself. And when I explained that to somebody actually said, wow, Alyssa, You're so egocentric that you think you get to love yourself. Isn't it good karma to be able to give to the world, to be a light worker? Isn't that a calling? And I was like, if that's a calling, it is the worst calling in the whole world, because I do not exist anymore. And I'm supposed to exist. I'm supposed to be somebody, right? And then as I was going through this, I realized that I'm not the only person doing this. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a spiritual community that thinks it's hashtag woke when it ascends into the collective, which is stupid, by the way. I am one of everybody who is on social media who is being affected negatively by people's horrible words that stem from their own fear that if they don't speak out, they will lose their influence. And so no longer are people creating, they are influencing. They are influencing out of fear, not creating out of love and out of their heart. And this influence is no longer being anywhere. It's not stemming from any part of anybody's being. It is a part of the collective. The collective is now influencing everybody to the point that the people with the most retweets are only regurgitating collective ideas. And as great as that sounds, one mind, it's stupid, because you are no longer you, and you are you, and that is your power. Your heart is your power. Love is the only power in the universe. Love is the only thing that drives out fear. Acceptance is nurture. Acceptance is the polar opposite of love. It happens to also be the polar opposite of fear. Fear and love, they are what replace each other. Nurture is on the opposite, and you need both nurture and fear, or nurture and love. Otherwise, nothing gets done. Otherwise, we are just nothing, and we are being nurtured by each other and accepting each other. There's a reason why we all leave high school. It's because, well, we have to graduate, but we leave it, and why we're happy when we leave it is because there are no more cliques to tell us what to be and who to be and how to dress and how to act and where to go with our time. Instead, now you graduate and you're bombarded with the same shit, but it's on a much larger scale. Everybody wants you to agree with them, and if they don't, if you stand up for what you believe inside of your heart, people persecute you. Every single person right now has a throne on which they are allowed to judge you. And everyone is so afraid of being judged that they either become nothing and enter the collective, or they, out of fear, fight against it in some negative way that only pulls negativity from everybody else. Instead of love, instead of creating from their heart and walking through the fire because of love, because love is what keeps you alive. Your heart, if your heart stops, you are no longer alive. And if you choose to get rid of your heart for the collective consensus that you are accepted by some group, you will lose your life. And not because you've died in real life, not because your heart stopped beating, but you stopped caring about it in the metaphorical sense. Metaphors are great, guys. You should use them. And so I went on some self-discovery where I realized all I want to do is create, guys. All I want to do is be something real from my heart. I don't want to influence. I'm not here, and I don't care if you're not influenced by me anymore. And I want you guys to know that too. That you are accepted because of you accepting yourself. When you accept yourself, that's love. When everybody else accepts you, that's nurture. And you have to know the difference. And when people start ganging up on you and you are not accepted, as I've never been accepted, I was not accepted by my church community. They all thought I was some rebel because I questioned stuff, or I don't even know. I wasn't accepted by astrologers because my tits were hanging out, quote from astrologers. And I've never been accepted by wherever I tried to go. I just haven't been, and that's okay. I thought that I was gaining acceptance in the astrology community, and the more I went in there, the more that I realized that I'd have to sacrifice some of who I was to truly be accepted, and I wasn't about to do that because that wouldn't further me as a person, as a human being who has boundaries. I'm gonna let you know, everybody in the astrology community and the spiritual community, they have no boundaries because they've all ascended into some weird hashtag wokeness that is not woke. It's not. You can't become everybody else. You are born into a body on purpose. When you die, you leave your body. You enter a new body. You're reincarnated, or whatever happens after you die, your energy moves on, but your soul is in here, and don't lose your soul for acceptance. To be accepted by people, because it doesn't feel the same. It feels gross because they don't know you. It doesn't matter how many things you like to pretend that you are up on here and on your Instagram. And people normally like to pretend like they're 4 things, you know? They're like, I'm a mom and a cook and a wife and I live in Chicago. And that is what they define themselves by. And that's great because you have those things, but those are nothing but walls, because deep down inside, you know you're gross and disgusting and full of fear. And only love can drive out fear. Hope doesn't do that. Acceptance doesn't do that. Nurture doesn't do that. Running to your mom doesn't drive out fear. It only puts a little band-aid on what's deep down inside, and that is that you might not be worthy of love. But I'm telling you, you're absolutely worthy of love. But it comes from inside of you. And so if you are not strong enough to realize that it's not Donald Trump who's ruining the world. It's not North Korea. It's not Hillary Clinton. It's not Republicans. It's not Democrats. It's not the LGBTQ community. It's not the feminists. It's not the Christians. It's not the Muslims. It's not ISIS. Nobody is ruining the world. It's not global warming. That's not going to kill us first. What's going to kill us first is the fact that nobody loves themselves. They're looking for acceptance in the collective, in the community. And they're coming with all of their baggage that they're pretending doesn't exist. And it's destroying the earth. It's destroying the world. It's destroying the atmosphere. And you think, you're like, I'm coming out here with my words, and words are like a sword, and I'm going to cut down this tree, and I'm going to make a home for somebody, because I'm going to prove my worthiness and my ability to exist by helping somebody who cannot help themselves. And so I'm going to build them a house right where this tree was. And you don't realize when you cut down that tree, you cut down somebody else's shade, somebody else's roots, somebody else's family. You destroyed them. And then when you're called out, you're like, no way, you must be bad if you can't see why I put this house here. And in reality, you didn't do your research. You didn't care. You didn't love yourself first to see that what you're doing might not be the best thing. And now these words that cut, are out there for everybody, forever and ever and ever. And they're doing bad things to people. And people are dying, and they're getting hurt by these words, and they're feeling like, if this celebrity who is creating on a regular basis has fans and followers and money, the things that I could never even dream of, and it's all I want, if this person has all of this and they are still fearful and they are still doing this, then there must really be no hope for me, because how am I supposed to love myself if this person who has everything can't love themselves? And that's why people just hate when celebrities talk. Like, whatever, talk, guys. But just admit that you have what everybody wants and you're still afraid. And maybe you need to love yourself too before you go out and try to make everybody else love you. And maybe that's what everybody needs to do right now. And so that's my story. That's what I feel. I am not a part of a group right now. I have never been a part of a group. I've tried, failed miserably. I'm my own person. I have my own thoughts and feelings and belief systems, and I want us to continue, and I want us to do it in the best way possible. And until you can go home and hashtag love yourself, you're not going to end up as anything. And you're going to die before they bury you. And I have more to say, so I'll be back.